Okay, so how on earth can a 4-year-old's obsession with dinosaurs unlock one of the most complex theories of cognition and betrayal? I know, it sounds like a stretch, but stick with me. That simple story is literally the key to understanding a very different and incredibly powerful kind of mind. It seems like a strange question to ask, right? A kid who loves dinosaurs and the fundamental structure of the human mind? But the answer, well, it reveals something absolutely crucial about how certain minds are built, how systems can completely fail them, and what it really, truly takes to repair that damage. The connection, it turns out, is a pattern of betrayal. So let's meet the hero of our story. He's a 4-year-old boy from Nice in France. Now, his first school saw him as a complete failure. On the left, you can see their take. He couldn't trace simple dotted lines. He was just bad and totally incapable. But look at the right. This same little boy had already mastered complex grammar. We're talking subjunctive tense here. He had perfect handwriting, and he was even correcting the reading of kids in first grade. So what in the world was going on? What he was experiencing wasn't just, a tough time at school. It was something much deeper. It was a fundamental breakdown, a kind of betrayal that was baked into the very environment that was supposed to be helping him grow.
This is a quote about his former teacher. Just let that sink in for a moment. Imagine you're 4 years old, and this is your daily reality. This constant public shaming wasn't just mean, it was profoundly damaging. So damaging, in fact, that he started refusing to even go to school. Can you blame him?
And see, this wasn't just a mean teacher problem. It was a systemic one. There's a name for it: pedagogical mismatch. Basically, the entire system was designed for one specific type of learner, and because this little boy didn't fit that mold, the system didn't adapt. Instead, it labeled him as the one who was broken. But then, everything changed. A new school, with a new set of teachers, decided to try a different approach. They didn't see him as a problem to be fixed, but as a mind to be understood. And you know where they started? With the one thing he loved: dinosaurs. This slide basically lays out their repair protocol. And it wasn't magic, it was just plain, simple competence. Step 1, find his interest, dinosaurs, and use it to connect with him. Step 2, provide structure, making his world predictable and less overwhelming. And step 3, maybe the most important one, rebuild his sense of safety. He had to literally relearn how to feel safe at school. And that competence, that steady, reliable approach, it was incredibly soothing for him. And here's where the story just blows up into something much bigger. This boy's journey from being harmed by one system to being healed by another, it's not just a touching, isolated anecdote. Nope. It's a perfect, real-world illustration of a highly detailed cognitive theory about a very specific pattern of betrayal. This is where it all clicks into place. On the left column, you have the patterns from our dinosaur-loving boy's story. And on the right, you have the formal cognitive profile of a man named Dennis Verhage. The parallels are just stunning. Both cases show this incredible advanced potential that was completely misunderstood. Both suffered from a systemic mismatch that led to a kind of neglect. And both desperately needed a safe, structured environment to repair what Verhage's theory actually calls structural damage. The boy's story doesn't just echo the theory, it validates it. So, what is this unique cognitive architecture we're talking about? Let's break down the core concepts from Verhage's theory, because they explain exactly why that first school was so toxic and why the second one was so healing. Okay, first up is this idea of tiled reasoning. The best way to think about it is that the mind works like a system of Legos. It doesn't process big, broad, abstract ideas. Instead, it builds understanding piece by piece, by encoding thousands of very specific, interconnected examples, or tiles. So when you give this kind of mind a meaningless task like trace these random dotted lines, it has no tile for that. It's just noise. Next, we have prismatic cognition. And for this, the metaphor is a bee's compound eye. Imagine seeing the world from thousands of different angles all at the same time. That's what's happening inside this type of mind. It's a massively parallel system, taking in all this data at once to build an incredibly rich, multi-dimensional model of reality. It's not thinking in a straight line, it's thinking geometrically. And this brings us to a brilliant parallel that really drives the point home. Remember the robot Johnny Five from the movie Short Circuit? Input, need more input. Well, this cognitive style is just like that. It craves massive amounts of structured data. But when it's deprived of that input, when it's neglected, it doesn't just power down. It does something else. It hyper-specializes. It becomes exceptionally, almost painfully good at recognizing the one pattern it has seen over and over again. The pattern of the system failing to provide what it needs, the pattern of betrayal. And this brings us right back around to the beginning. If betrayal is this predictable pattern of systemic failure, then competence, the simple act of providing the right structure and the right input, isn't just a nice thing to do. It's a fundamental act of repair. You see, in this model, betrayal isn't just an emotion. It's practically a mathematical event. It's defined as a perturbation, a shock to the system that physically knocks the whole cognitive structure out of its stable, functional state. It's not a feeling about the damage, it is the damage. So really, here's the core takeaway of this whole story. It boils down to this simple but profound contrast. Betrayal is a system failure. It's structural damage. It's a violent push away from stability. But competence, like the kind those teachers showed with their dinosaur-based lessons, is the exact opposite. It's a system repair. It's structurally soothing. It's a gentle guide back to stability. Which leaves us with this one last, really big thought. The story of the boy who loved dinosaurs forces us to totally re-examine what we mean by failure. When a student is struggling, when a learner is failing, is the problem really with the student's ability to learn? Or is it a failure of the system's ability to teach?